Hello and welcome to the Hardcore Gamers Club. My name is Daniel and this video is the repair of a Wii U GamePad. Screen's damaged, battery's dead at the moment, so once I get the screen replaced I won't be able to turn it on for you and keep the video unedited. But the model number is WUP 010. Okay, so we're going to disassemble this, take the screen out and replace it. Got a replacement online. I went ahead and ordered the one with these tools here, although I don't care for it. I wanted to use them in the video to show you what you're getting into if you try this. Now, I would highly recommend that you don't, especially if you are an individual that it has a tendency to throw tools if you get frustrated. If you're under, say, 15, probably not a good idea unless you're really mechanically inclined. Okay, so we're going to set all this stuff off to the side here. Basically this just unplugs. As you've seen, it came off really easy. Now, to take this apart, we're going to need to remove these little black stickers here. It looks like somebody already removed two of them here. There'll be one here, here, and here, and here, which is already missing. Alright. All of these screws will be tri-wing, which will be the one with the 3 blades. Okay, so let's get them off. This video is for a home do-it-yourselfer, not a person learning to do this for customers. Okay, if you're doing repairs for customers, you should have education in electronics so that you know what you can and cannot touch. It's a different story if you're doing this to your own system and you're willing to risk it. But if you're repairing game systems, you should have some education in electronics. Otherwise, you're learning off of your customers, and that is not right. Okay? Actually, I don't think you need to remove these two. It's been a while, but I'll double check. I do these every now and again, not too often. So it's easy to kind of forget a few things here and there. But this should be fairly straightforward as to how it comes apart. Okay, got one more here. I will use the camera to zoom in, or I should say the video editing software to zoom in from time to time. And let me adjust this camera a little bit better. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to use a tri-wing. We're going to remove these screws here. If your screwdriver does not come magnetic, just take a small magnet, rub it back and forth, or you can take a coil of wire, wrap it around it, and short it across the battery. That should give you enough magnetic in the driver so that you can get your screws out of here without having to flip it over every time. But you can just unscrew them and turn it over and let them fall out. But it's so much easier if your screwdriver is capable of lifting the screw out. There we go. Once we get these screws off here, this should very easily lift right off. Now you'll notice, let me put this camera over here, you'll notice I'm putting these screws in order. Very important, even though I do believe all of these screws are the same length, anytime you're taking something apart, if you can arrange the screws in the order they were removed, so that when you put it back together, you put all the screws back in the exact location, you don't have to worry about one screw being longer than another and winding up screwing a screw into the motherboard or other electronics in there, really boogering stuff up and or potentially destroying the entire system. And let me adjust this camera a little better. It's starting to, there we go, starting to kind of walk off. There we go. Okay, there we go. We got all of these here. Now this should just lift right off with a little bit of assistance. There we go. See that? Now, real gentle. See the little wire here? It's connected to the board. You'll want to get as close to that as absolutely possible. Grab it with your fingernails if you can. Pinch the port, wiggle it back and forth very gently until it comes up and off. Okay, and then we can take this stuff, set it on here, and get it out of the way. Okay, so now in order to get to the screen, we need to remove a few things. We do not need to remove any of this stuff here, but these triggers, they'll probably fall off while you're working on it, so just lift them up and set them right over here with your screws. Okay, and we're going to go through and basically show you what we're going to be removing. We're going to be removing this plug here, ribbon cables here, here, plugs here, here, very tiny, tiny, tiny ribbon cable here. Remove this plug here, here, there, this, and remove this. We're going to be very careful about all of that. So let's get to that. So let's start with I should have had a better pair of tweezers up here. These will work. I had some dental tweezers here somewhere, but this is a weekend. I probably had them in the shop. I'm going to very gently and very carefully lift the ribbon cable, which on this one is going to go from the side of the ribbon cable and flip up that way, and we're going to very gently manipulate that out. Now these things have little outcroppings on the sides. Let's give you a close-up look at that. These things have little outcroppings on the side of the ribbon cable. Let's see if we can get you a good shot of that. They look like little bumps on each side. Let's see if we get, here we go. Okay, you see them? A little hard to see, but you got to be really careful not to damage them. Them center the ribbons into the port there. So you don't want to damage that. I'm going to lift up on the tab, pull out, unplug the speaker here. I'm going to unplug the trigger mechanism here very gently. I'm going to lift and remove this tab here, so I'm just going to take my tweezers, slide up underneath and lift up slightly. There'll be a little sticky stuff underneath there that holds that in. And then there's a little, the white wire kind of goes and is tucked under a little bit of the plastic, so be gentle with that. Okay. Now, if one of your, let's get this in here, if one of your tabs come undone, might not be a bad idea to mark this, but we're going to get that out of the way of the motherboard. And then we're going to unplug here. Now you're going to try and avoid touching anything on this circuit board as absolutely best as possible, because static electricity in some of these chips can wipe out the system, and that's something you don't want. Just get in there and wiggle that port out. Now it's best if you don't pull on the wires themselves, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, see the little connector here? Alright, I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to undo this one. So you see what I'm doing? I'm getting my fingernail on the port and then using the tweezers and then just wiggling back and forth until I get it disconnected. Alright, now some of this wire is threaded through this plastic housing. We're going to need to remove that soon enough, but at this point we're ready to, I believe I disconnect, I didn't disconnect everything. Set that off over here. We need to remove this ribbon cable very gently and nicely lift that out. Going to push down on this tab here and push that back. Get that released. Now you got a really fine ribbon cable here. This lifts from the back side up. See it? And then you got to be very gentle and lift that tiny little ribbon out, and you'll be good to go there. Alright, so let me kind of double check, make sure I got everything unplugged. I believe I do. Sometimes you get to, when you're making a video, you get to a point where you are basically trying to pay more attention to doing the video than you are to doing the repair. So I'm trying to concentrate on where I'm pulling stuff out from, and at the same time go with you. Pardon the autofocus. Okay, so while I was talking to you and trying to pay attention to you, I forgot to remove this ribbon cable here. So we need to pop that up. Very gentle. If you don't want it to come up, you can use your fingernail underneath it, but that don't want to come up very easily. It's a large ribbon, you can easily break it. You can take a spudger and lift that up. Some of them are in there pretty good. And then take a screwdriver and very gently manipulate that out. Oh, and here we go again. Look, there's another ribbon cable right there. Right there. We're going to go right behind it. This one actually reverses, and lift that up, and then very carefully remove that. That's for your screen and your touch screen ribbon cables. Them are really tiny. Okay, so now that we got that off, we're going to very gently remove the circuit board like so. See, you got a little switch here, so you're going to pay attention to that switch there, and you got a couple other various things. You got your camera and whatnot's on here, and you got a little black plastic thing that might fall off, so pay attention to it. Set that off to the side so you don't damage it. Okay, so now we need to remove the screen, and we can, but before we do that, we need to very carefully manipulate these wires out of the plastic housing for the screen. So we're going to very gently manipulate them out of the way, and we're going to very gently manipulate that one out of the way. One kind of goes underneath there, right there. We got them out of the way. Now we need to get these out of the way, and we need to get this out of the way. Okay. This one kind of goes over that part right there, so I'm going to lift that up and get it out of the way. Okay, and we've got one more here. Very gently get that out of the way. Now we can remove the screen. So we're going back to the Phillips screwdriver, which is a crosshead, not necessarily a Phillips. A Phillips screwdriver is actually a brand name. A lot of people don't realize that, because Phillips has become synonymous with cross-tip screwdrivers. Okay. And we just released that frame, and off she will come, nice and gentle. Set that off to the side. Now we need to get the screen out. I'll very gently lift that out. Okay. Now when you buy these, they don't normally come with this little black plastic trim right here that is glued on, so you can very carefully remove that. You can warm it up with a hot air gun or whatever, but if you got a nice thin spudger, you can just slide it underneath and very gently remove it. Some people will use playing cards and other things to help keep it from re-sticking to the screen. There we go. Almost done. There, all done. So now we got that off. I'm going to go ahead and just sit that back down in place. Okay, there we go. Now we get our new screen. Now these new screens come with little protectors over them. This one actually already came assembled, so it's all ready to go. You just got to get it back in place where it's supposed to be. Now see how this is going this way? This actually goes this way, so be careful. Alright, so we're going to remove the screen protector. Let's set this down here for a second. We'll remove the first screen protector. it's got a second little piece of plastic at the same time that covers up the pre-glued screen, which is nice. Some of them don't come with it pre-glued. So we're going to take that. I'm going to see if I can not get this stuck to it. Where's my little... There it is. I'm going to line that up nice and straight in there. Lift your ribbon cables out of the way. Okay, I got that wrong. See what I mean about trying to pay attention to you? Okay. This needs to be on this side. Okay, and we got this other one on the front side. There we go. There is no sticky glue on the front side, so we're just going to set that in. We'll put this on after we get the screen in place. Alright, but this little ribbon cable needs to be to the left of the screen ribbon cable, and then the glue is going to glue it to this. So we're going to remove the film. You want to do this as quickly as possible so that no dust lands on your screen, and avoid touching any of the screen parts, both top and bottom. There we go. Now that's in place. We'll put this piece on last. The only reason why I decided to not put it on in there is sometimes they fall out, and you can put them in after, so no worries, I'll show you how. Now we need to put this back together. You're going to move your ribbon cables. You're going to have to feed your upper ribbon cables into this slot here, and we need to move this ribbon cable out of the way, and this ribbon cable, this plug out of the way, very carefully and gently. There we go. And now we're in place. And then we're going to put the screws back in on this. And you notice I go corner to corner. Just helps it hold it in place. And okay, at this point you want to make sure you got your ribbons here, plug here, ribbon here, ribbon here, ribbon here, plug here, long skinny ribbon, large fat ribbon, and you know you have all your ribbons out where they need to be. Okay, now I can tighten these other two up a little bit more, and they are just about ready to go. Got one last one, and the screen is in place. Yay! Now we got to put it back together, so we're going to need to feed these through the board and make sure these are not underneath it. So let's do that. A pair of tweezers, use the back side a little bit, it will help you with this part. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to want to put some of these wires back where they were. There we go. And put this one back underneath that little teeny plastic lip right here. This is why I always tell people, watch a video several times all the way through, not just once, because it is so easy for the guy making the video to forget something and then wind up having to redo something. And if you only watch it once, you might forget that they forgot. Okay, so here we go. Now let's get these ribbons back in there. And in there. There we go. Get this little clip out of the way here. And get this ribbon out from underneath it there. Same on this side. There we go. And I got it upside down. See what I mean? Duh! Okay, let's do this again. Put the ribbon cable in there. Okay, lift these out of the way. Lift that out of the way. Make sure that's out of the way. Make sure these two ribbons are over. Make sure these two ribbons are over. And then very gently manipulate that back into its place where it belongs. Make sure your white wire is also where it belongs, which is under the board and around this little piece of plastic right here. Okay, now it's setting in place, so I can go ahead and put the motherboard screws back in place and then start reattaching the wires. Trying to remember whether it went in this one or this one. I think it was this one. We'll find out. Okay. It's always good if you video your own repair, because then at worst case you can rewind it and watch where something went. That screw is not all the way down. Well, that would be the reason why I'm using a tri-wing on the Phillips. There we go. Now that is properly in place. Okay, so now before we reattach these, we're going to go ahead and reattach this ribbon cable here and here, and this one here, and this one here, because they can be a pain in the, excuse the language. Hopefully we can get this all done here real quick. Okay, we got that. Sorry if we got autofocus and a little bit of glare on this. Okay, but you get the idea. I don't think you need to absolutely see every last detail of what I'm doing, because quite frankly, if you can't figure it out by watching this video, you have no business being inside there. I mean, even if it's out of focus and has a glare, you should be able to see what I'm doing. And if you can't and you have a ribbon somewhere, you should be able to be intelligent enough to figure out where it goes or where it came from, or the fact that it's a ribbon in the area that I'm got my hands. Because quite frankly, if you can't figure that out, you should not be inside your game system. So I need to lift up that little back retainer there and make sure this little ribbon goes all the way inside. You be very gentle with these little tiny ribbons. If you scratch them or break contact, you will be one sad puppy. Okay, so I'm going to need to turn this a little bit this way. Lift that back side up again. Okay, maybe this other pair of tweezers will work a little better. They're not quite as slender, but they got a little bit more grip. I'm showing you this video unedited for a very specific reason. You need to know that this stuff takes time. You cannot, it's not as easy as it looks. I'm telling you straight up, guys, this is not as easy as it looks. I would highly recommend paying somebody that's done it before, has a shop that's intelligent enough to do it, and has the mechanical aptitude. You know, anybody working for a shop should have a mechanical aptitude in the subject. Okay, although I've found a few exceptions around the Fresno Clovis area with people learning off of YouTube and basically destroying the kids' stuff, learning off of them. But let's not get into that. Okay, so I'm going to take and get this nice and centered in here. This ribbon cable should be in nice and clean and straight. If it is not, you're going to not get anything on your screen once you try to turn it on. Okay, so that is nice. And we need to hook up the wire here. Let's turn this way, make it a little bit easier for me, and you might even be able to see it a little better. There we go. Get that in there, pinch it in place, and we are going to get this little tiny ribbon cable over here and put it in there. I need to lift up on the back side of the ribbon cable and very carefully make sure that is in all the way. And straight. If you get this in crooked, there's a potential for it to short out. So that would not be a good thing for you. I'm going to turn this around this way, get me a little better angle. It would definitely not be a good thing if you get these in crooked. Okay, if you get it in crooked, it has a potential for them little tabs to short out. And if you short out any of these ribbon cables, trust me, you will be buying a new screen replacement again, and or burn out something on the motherboard. Considering all of this stuff is micro component, you are not going to fix it. And depending on what you shorted out, a lot of your local shops can't fix it, because I find that the majority of the people around, not just around here, but across the United States, actually watched a bunch of YouTube videos and learned off of their customers. So they only know common problems. They have no way of determining what is working and what is not working unless they have a YouTube video on the topic. Okay. Go. Got that. Got one more here. This is going to go over the top of this wire, so that will kind of hold that down a little bit. Let's get these tweezers in here, get a hold of that on the back side of the port, so that we can get it started. Oh, it's having fun. Here we go. Well, this one's got a little bit more bite, and I can turn it this way and get a little bit more bite on that plug. There we go. Much better. Okay. Got it. And then push that all the way in. Okay, so we're going to double check. We got speakers hooked up. Oh, here. See, that's why we double check. We haven't put this one in yet. Okay. Get that lined up nice and straight. There's a spudger on the back side of this blue thing. There we go. I'll call them back in just a minute. It's a weekend and I'm not open. Okay, so now all we got to do is put the back on. We need to plug this back in here. Oh, and almost forgot. Let's re-unplug that. We need to set these back in place. They just sit in the little hole. It's really... Hold on. Yes, dear?
Hey, the rodeo's over.
Okay, I'll be heading that way in a sec.
I mean, not the rodeo, the parade.
Yeah, I'll be heading that way in a second.
Okay, bye.
Alright, love you, bye.
Love you.
Okay, that was the wife, not a girlfriend. Okay, so now we got that back in place. Going to very gently and carefully put this back together. There we go. See? Not quite closing up right there. So we need to figure out what's going on with that. And come back. Let's open that back up. Okay, do we got a wire or something in the way? Yep, that little white wire got in the way. Get that back in its place. Get back to where you once belong. Okay. Very carefully, I'm going to put this back together. Nice, and oop, I knocked the bumper out. There we go. Dagnabbit. There we go. Much better, much better. And we'll get that slide back on. Perfect. Okay. So use a tri-wing again. We're going to put in a couple of screws, and then I'm going to end this video so that I can go pick up the wife. Let's just do the four corners so I can go get the wife and kids from up at the rodeo, because it's rodeo weekend, and I'm sitting here doing a video for you on rodeo weekend. So better subscribe, put a comment down there. Check the video description. Go to my hgcgamersclub.com website. Donate $1. The money goes to help get kids free repairs and parts, and depending on participation, buy you guys game systems and stuff to give away. Sound pretty cool? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. We've got that ring back in place. Look at that. Oh my god. Oh my god. The ring went right in, huh? Yeah. Do it from the back side. Alright. Plug in the battery. All I have to do is put the remaining screws in here and we're done. So, I think you should be intelligent enough to finish off what I didn't show you. And if you're not, okay, so I went ahead and put the last screws on, and we're going to put these little black beauty covers back on. If it was mine, I wouldn't bother, but it's not mine, so we're going to keep it as pretty as possible. Okay. I got a couple extras here that I can go ahead and give them. Okay, yeah, I found all the extras we need. They're all in, back in place. And as long as I can stitch this video back together, we can test our progress by putting it in the charging station. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, let it charge for the customer, and let them come pick it up. And put this little piece over here for somebody else's game system. Stay safe, happy gaming, everybody.